Hi, I'm Kimberly, a self-taught autistic, and I created this map. Today's the big one. We're going to go over everything. We're going to talk about why we need the active form of folate and an efficient and effective MTHFR. We don't just need folate, we need the active form of folate, 5-MTHF. This is created through enzymes such as MTHFR breaking down the folate you ingest through food. Therefore, an MTHFR mutation would impact BH4 levels because we need the active form of folate to create BH4. Different MTHFR gene mutations change how well the enzyme does its job. For example, the C6717 homozygous is at 25%. So what's the impact of low BH4? Low serotonin, low nitric oxide, low dopamine, and low AGMO. Low serotonin will result in a wonky internal clock. Serotonin controls the body's internal clock, known as the circadian rhythm, through its interaction with the brain's timekeeping center, the SCN. This regulates the daily release of various hormones like melatonin for sleep and cortisol for stress management. Wonky brain chemicals will also result in wonky brain circuitry. In the corticostriatal loop, high levels of the neurotransmitter glutamate cause neurons to be overly active, firing signals more frequently. At the same time, low levels of dopamine fail to regulate this activity. The result is a system that is both hyperactive and poorly controlled. This condition leads to a range of symptoms, including difficulty focusing, repetitive behaviors, and problems with emotional regulation. It also causes repetitive and involuntary movements, as well as heightened or reduced sensory sensitivity, such as being overly sensitive to light, sound, or touch. Wonky brain circuitry will also result in new or more brain circuits. In the brain, the combination of high glutamate and low dopamine forces the corticostriatal loop to adapt. This adaptation is a form of neuroplasticity, which is the brain's way of changing its own structure and function over time. Because the loop is overly active but poorly controlled, the brain tries to manage by forming new pathways or strengthening existing ones. This rerouting is an attempt to make the system more efficient. Wonky brain chemicals will also result in wonky fight-or-flight responses. Catecholamines are the chemicals that trigger the body's fight-or-flight mode, making you alert and ready for action. If dopamine is low, the body produces fewer catecholamines, which might result in conditions like ADHD, where focus and attention are a struggle. On the other hand, if glutamate is high, the body produces more catecholamines. This can lead to a range of outcomes. A constant cycle of high and low levels may result in bipolar disorder. Consistently low levels could be indicative of ADHD, and extremely high levels might be seen in conditions like schizophrenia. Low nitric oxide will result in impaired blood flow. When nitric oxide synthase is low, it can't produce enough nitric oxide. Nitric oxide helps blood vessels expand, and when there's not enough of it, blood vessels might not work well, making blood flow less smoothly. Low nitric oxide will result in lack of communication between cells. Nitric oxide is a messenger for certain cells. When there isn't enough, cells can't communicate well. This impacts how your body works together. NOS uncoupling will result in systemic damage. When NOS is low, it becomes uncoupled. This means instead of making nitric oxide, it starts producing a lot of reactive oxygen species, specifically superoxide. Superoxide can damage cells and tissues. This is called oxidative stress. NOS uncoupling will result in peroxynitrite, an intense level of toxic. This means that the two substances NOS usually produces, nitric oxide and superoxide, collide more frequently. When they do, they create a compound called peroxynitrite. Peroxynitrite can cause several problems in your body. For instance, it can disrupt how your body processes sugar, leading to insulin resistance. It can also cause your immune system to behave abnormally, and additionally, it can damage your DNA, which is like the instruction manual for your body. Lastly, it can harm your mitochondria, which are like teeny power plants inside your cells. Low AGMO can result in a missing myelin sheath. Reduced AGMO can lead to substrate accumulation, reducing product. Lower phosphates can decrease plasmalogen synthesis, essential for myelin sheath. This may affect childhood brain myelination. Low AGMO can also result in a missing endocannabinoid system. AGMO is the only enzyme that can break apart alkyl ether bonds. Noladen has one of these bonds, and it's a building block for a substance called 2-AG. 2-AG is a crucial player in the endocannabinoid system, the body's messaging system, and connects with receptors called CB1 and CB2. AGMO relies on a helper called BH4 to do its job. If there's not enough BH4 around, it's like missing pieces in a puzzle, and the body's messaging system, the endocannabinoid system, doesn't work properly. Nitric oxide is a key intermediary between estrogen and testosterone. Estrogen boosts NO production in blood vessel linings, enhancing cardiovascular health. NO also initiates a hormonal cascade leading to testosterone production, crucial for reproductive health. Endometriosis is a complex condition in which tissue resembling the endometrium grows outside the uterus. This leads to debilitating inflammation, pain, and often infertility. NO is involved in regulating cell adhesion and growth of new blood vessels, processes integral to endometrial tissue growth and invasion. Moreover, the enzyme responsible for NO production, known as nitric oxide synthase, becoming uncoupled, affects the balance of pro-inflammatory and anti-inflammatory factors in the pelvic region. Polycystic ovary syndrome, PCOS, is a hormonal disorder characterized by androgen excess and ovarian dysfunction. NO is vital in this context because it inhibits the activity of androgen receptors. Lower levels of NO could therefore result in an overproduction of androgens, a hallmark of PCOS. NO also has a part to play in the release of hormones essential for processes such as ovulation and implantation. To add complexity, the uncoupling of NOS due to low BH4 levels can reduce NO production, contributing to the metabolic disorders commonly seen in women with PCOS. Nitric oxide is not just a molecule, but a regulatory agent in the intricate processes of the menstrual cycle. It plays roles in vascular regulation, uterine contractility, and even pain modulation. When NOS becomes uncoupled, it can affect uterine blood flow and potentially impact the development and shedding of the endometrial lining. NO is also implicated in uterine contractions, so disruptions in NO signaling may lead to issues like painful menstruation or irregularities in menstrual flow and clotting. During menopause, the decline in estrogen levels can have cascading effects on NO production. Estrogen is known to enhance the production of NO, which in turn helps to maintain healthy blood vessels and regulate blood flow. The loss of estrogen during this life phase could therefore lead to reduced NO levels, with potential implications for vascular health among other physiological changes. NO triggers the release of luteinizing hormone releasing hormone in the brain. It sets off a cascade of hormonal events. Specifically, LHRH leads to the secretion of luteinizing hormone, which in turn signals the testes to produce testosterone, the primary male sex hormone. Therefore, an imbalance in NO levels could have ripple effects on male fertility and other functions mediated by testosterone. In optimal smaller amounts, NO serves as a facilitator for sperm motility, an essential factor for successful fertilization. Conversely, when present in larger concentrations, NO acts as an inhibitor, slowing down sperm and complicating the journey towards conception. Glutamate, oxytocin, social awareness, and empathy. High levels of glutamate can cause an increase in oxytocin levels. Increased oxytocin levels can result in heightened sensitivity to understanding the emotions of others, termed double empathy. In contrast, low levels of glutamate can lead to apathy, where there is reduced concern or interest in others. Oxytocin also plays a key role in social skills and awareness. Low levels of oxytocin can lead to reduced social awareness, making it difficult to pick up on social cues or understand social situations. On the other hand, high levels of oxytocin can contribute to social anxiety, where there is excessive worry or fear about social interactions. High glutamate and oxytocin overload. However, when there's too much of the glutamate in the brain for a long time, it can wear out the parts of the brain cells that interact with oxytocin. Oxytocin is important for feeling empathy. If those parts get worn out, the brain can't use oxytocin properly, making it difficult to feel empathy or understand other people's emotions. Glutamate, histamine, and mast cell activation. When there's extra glutamate around, it results in the release of more histamine. This histamine can then make mast cells release even more histamine into the bloodstream. This can result in allergic reactions like swollen blood vessels, itchiness, swelling, and water retention under the skin. High glutamate and neurodegenerative symptoms. Excitotoxicity happens when there is too much of a brain chemical called glutamate. This excess glutamate overstimulates brain cells, which can damage or kill them. This leads to problems in how the brain functions and matches the definition of neurodegenerative symptoms, which means symptoms that occur because brain cells are deteriorating or dying. CRH and burnout. High levels of catecholamines like adrenaline and noradrenaline over a long time can put a lot of stress on the body's hormonal system. These chemicals are often referred to as stress hormones, and they prepare your body for quick action in stressful situations. However, When these levels are high for too long, it can exhaust other parts of your hormonal system, like the production of CRH. CRH is a hormone that helps regulate your body's response to stress. If CRH gets depleted, your adrenal glands can't function properly. This is similar to tertiary adrenal fatigue.